Hey everyone, it's your man Roball back again for another building tutorial. Today we're going to be teaching you how to build an obby. Now there's going to be some scripting involved, so keep in mind it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world, but this is going to be a step-by-step procedure where you can learn exactly what to do. So follow along, and remember at the end of the video what I want you to do is try to recreate what I'm doing as I'm doing it with you. But at the end of it, try to follow me on Twitter at Roball01 and tweet me what you made. So look at what I'm making and make your own version of it. It doesn't have to be the exact same, but try to show me that you followed the lessons that I've been teaching you, and so I can see that this is very effective. Now, over time, the series will be getting more and more complex, but for now, we're starting in the beginning, the basic steps. So what I want you to do, guys, is also, remember, my plugins, they're gonna be linked down below. Every plugin I'm using, always gonna be linked down below, but watch the first part if you did not see it. You're gonna see a card at the top right corner popping up. If you're on mobile, it'll be at the top right corner, PC as well. No matter what, you'll see it top right corner. Make sure you guys go ahead and click on that and watch that first, then come back to here once you have the time. But also, guys, I told you a lot of KeyDowns. I told you like, oh, Control 2 lets you move objects, like Control 2, Control 3 to resize, Control 4 to rotate, Control 1 to drag. I told you all that stuff, Control N for new place and so on. But what I want you to do, guys, is just know that I will be leaving a link down below to a tweet that tells you all of the studio like control commands you need to know. That way you guys know exactly what to do or how to learn how to do it. That way you aren't just bothered with all this information coming to your mind. You aren't just smothered with information. But let's go ahead and get started. So currently I have a list created of all the obstacle ideas I want to make for this obby that we're going to be making today. But the first thing we have to start with is our spawn point. So we're going to go ahead and delete this object, then go into our plugins and open building tools by F3X, which is what I showed in the last video. Now remember, in order to place a part, you have to press J. I'm pressing J, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to open spawn and insert a spawn point. Now notice how the spawn point looks like a normal part. It is already anchored, so I'm good with that. I'm fine with that too. But what I want to do is I want to press X and go to the resize part and make it a 4x4 part, and then maybe make it like blue or something like that. Maybe make it like a different color. Press N to change the material, and maybe make it smooth plastic. So notice how my spawn point is smooth plastic. Now I'm going to raise it by 1, press J, and insert a part, because this is the part that will have the spawn point on top of it. Now we're going to move this part and then resize it on both ends by doing this and then resizing it just to be a little bit bigger. So when the player spawns on top of this, they will not be like scared of falling off. So this will be the spawn point. They're going to be right on top of here. And over time, we will be removing the base plate. But for now, we're not going to touch the base plate and just leave the base plate as is. All right, so our next step is going to be to make a walkthrough part / pass. Now, in order to do that, the first thing you want to do is take this part and resize it over. We're going to resize it over to this side. That way we can just do this and make it a lot longer, so there's more paths to choose from. So when the player begins this, we're probably going to make it an easy pass. So they're going to choose between maybe 2 pieces that they go through. So we're going to make it a 3 size right here. We're going to go ahead and undo that. We're going to make this 3 right here, and we're going to resize this over to be about 12 to actually 20 in length. How about we make it 15 in length? 15 in length, right? Then we're going to move this over by 4. We're going to duplicate it and move it over by 8. That way, this is even and symmetrical on both sides. Now, when you're building, try to keep it symmetrical. Now, notice how I'm able to press enter to go to both and resize it on both sides. And you can see that they're both evenly divided in the middle. You can see that there's no difference between how they're moved. They're both moved the exact same distance, which is great for us. It makes it a lot easier to make this obby if it is symmetrical, because then we learn how to do things. So we're going to go ahead and delete this by pressing Shift X. Now if you already have these 2 paths right here, what I recommend doing for these 2 paths is doing this. Select one of the 2, then press N, and notice how you have the ability to change the material. What I want you to do is always make sure that everything has the same material between the 2 of them, so both of them plastic, but then you also want to make sure that can collide is off. So you want to make it so the player can go through the object. So this right one will be the part that the player goes through. So if I were to go ahead and press F5 to load into the game and test out the game, the path to my right would be something that I walk through, and notice how I can go right through it. And notice how the path to my left I can walk on top of. So that's what we're going to be doing for this part, guys, okay? We're going to go ahead and select these 3 parts, Shift C to duplicate, and we're going to move it over here. Then we're going to take these 2 pieces and move them over by 4. Then we're going to take this piece and duplicate this and move it over by 4. And now we have a bigger path. And move it over by 8, I mean. Now we have a 3x3 path, a 3 path, guys. We're going to keep one of them being walkthrough and one of them not being walkthrough. So we're going to make the rightmost one be walkthrough. Then we're going to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. That way the player has more room to move around. We're gonna make this about 30 in width, and we're gonna duplicate this now, and this will be the final path for the walking through zone. So we're gonna move this over here, and now notice how we have like a giant tree forming. It's a really cool pyramid forming, which in my opinion looks pretty nice. So let's go ahead and move this object over by about 4, then duplicate this piece and move this over by 8. That way it looks even. Then we're gonna take this and make sure the player cannot walk through it. Same for all these. We're probably gonna make this one the one that players can walk through. So now we have finished our first obstacle. Let's go ahead and test it out, everybody. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete the base plate, and we're gonna go ahead and spawn into the game. We have now spawned in the game, and now notice how I can walk right on top of here, and I cannot walk on top of this. I fall right through and to my death, which isn't really a good thing, but it's good for an obby. Now once I respawn, I'm going to go ahead and show you a way that the players can notice where to go to. So remember that the parts have to be anchored in order for them to float. If I were to go through and do this, I can see that I can go through this object because my camera goes through it, but I can't go through this with my camera, so that means I can walk on this. Notice how if I do it to this, I don't go through it. Do it to this, I don't go through it, but do it to this, I go through it. So when the player walks on this one and this one, they will walk straight through it and die. Now when you're making an obby like this, another thing that I want to recommend is making it so only one of the paths can be walked on. So for these, I have to make the other ones like basically walk through. So this one is also like basically walk on, this one is walk through. We're probably going to take all these and make it so you can walk through all these. That way the player has to choose the one correct path in order to walk on top of it. And it makes it a lot easier to make this path system. That way we can avoid a lot of errors where players can just walk on top of many of them and not fall to their death. So we finished our spawn point and our walkthrough parts. We're gonna go ahead and make the cylinder jump. Now the cylinder jump is not difficult whatsoever. This is gonna be pretty simple, to be honest. It's probably gonna be a lot easier than the previous one. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is resize this over here, undo that, and resize this over here. We're gonna resize it to be a path that the player can walk on top of, and then they can just go ahead and do this. And we're gonna resize this to go right here. Now the reason why we're doing this is because I wanna make a path for the player to walk on top of, and it's not going to be an easy path either. It's going to be a path they have to jump through and walk through and so on. So what we're going to do is we're going to press J again. We're going to go ahead and insert a cylinder. Reason being, a cylinder would be pretty cool. The reason I want to do cylinder is because you could do some cool colors, some cool variations. So let's go ahead and increase the size, maybe make it like a 5x5 cylinder. We're going to raise it up like this, and we're going to make it so the player can easily jump on top of this cylinder. After the cylinder's placed, let's go ahead and randomly move this one over here and raise it up just a little bit, maybe make it a little bit smaller. That way it's a little bit more difficult to walk on top of. So we can make it like a 4x4x4 cylinder. And I think that looks pretty nice, guys. Let's actually make the height a little bit smaller too, maybe make it by 2. And I think that looks pretty cool. Just making sure each cylinder has a different size. That way they don't look the exact same. Now the next thing I want you guys to do is just keep following this path. I'm gonna go ahead and do like a speed lap or time lapse. That way you guys know exactly what I mean. Okay, so we finished our cylinder path, and we're going to test it out in just a little bit, but we want to look at our list real quick. Notice how we finished the cylinder jumps. The next thing is going to be the lava jumps. Lava jumps will be a little bit difficult, but we're going to learn it together, guys. This is going to be mainly a scripting part, so you're going to have to follow along a little bit closely, and I'll show you guys exactly what I mean in just a little bit, but let's go ahead and test out our cylinder jumps. So when we load into the game first, make sure you test out your little walkthrough pieces too. Make sure only one of the pieces can be walked through or walked on, and the other ones are walked through, as I'm showing right here. These ones are walk on. This one here is the only one I can walk on. Then we go ahead and go to the cylinders, and we can jump on top of them and try to get to our point. Now after this, we're gonna go ahead and make our lava jumps. Lava jumps can be as complex as we want, but the first thing I wanna do is I wanna go ahead and make a simple path for it. Reason being, if we can make a simple path and then learn from there, it's going to be a lot easier, guys, because you've mapped out what you want to do. It's like making a blueprint for making a house. And we're going to probably make a house in a future video, guys. So if you want to be seeing that video in the near future, make sure you leave a like and comment down below exactly what you want to see in the future, guys. Maybe it could be a video on how to make a house. Maybe it could be a video on not how to make a house, you know? So go ahead and comment down below what you want, guys. It just really depends on your opinion, what you want me to make. So typically people associate killer bricks with either neon green or red, but we're gonna go ahead and go with red and make it smooth plastic. Now the next thing I want you to do, guys, is go ahead and right mouse click on your part and insert object. Then once you go on to insert object, you wanna go ahead and insert a script into the part. Now the script is open now. What I want you to do is follow my instructions, and I'll explain a little bit after I get it typed out. So what you want to first type out is script.parent.touched. Oh, I spelled that wrong. .touched, and then connect. The reason why you're connecting is because it's basically connecting the touch to the parent, which is the script, you know? So the script's parent is the part, because the script is inside of the part, and when you touch the part, it's going to connect what's going to happen, which is our function. And we're naming our function hit, because when the part is hit, if it is hit and the hit.parent, so let's see right there, hit.parent and hit.parent find first child humanoid. Now this is what I mean right here. This is the confusing part, guys. Humanoid, then, and then we do this, hit.parent.humanoid.health equals 0. So if you look right here, the script's parent, which is the part, when it's touched, it activates this function, or what we're going to say it's happening inside of the function, which is these two lines. If hit and the hit's parent, which is the part, and then like what happens next is it finds the character and their humanoid. Your humanoid has your health in it, which basically makes it you have a lot of health or no health, or basically like 50% and so on. So when you hit it, the character's humanoid.health is reduced to 0. So my health is made to 0. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and test that out. So let's go ahead and move this part over here, duplicate it, and move it over here next to the spawn point, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So let's go ahead and press F5 and test it out. So when I spawn in and I touch this, it instantly kills me. Now if I were to go ahead and go back into my part and edit the script, maybe for this one right here, I can make it so it could take maybe 50% of my HP, maybe 25%. So maybe I make it take 25% of my HP. So it makes my HP 75 when I hit it. Actually, no, not 75. It's going to be wrong a little bit, guys. We have 75 is going to make a 25% decrease from our HP, which is like 100. So we get a 25% decrease. If I want to make it 50, it's a 50%. If I want to make it 25, it's a 75% decrease. So notice now if I make it 25, my health gets reduced by 75%. So I lose 75 out of 100 HP, and I'm at orange HP. That's basically how the script works, but we're going to keep it at 0 HP. Then when the player touches it, they automatically die. So let's go ahead and place this lava around and make sure it's like an even point, maybe 5 by 5. Every 5 it's going to be there. That way it's a little bit easier for the player to move around and jump through them. Now the reason why I'm making it this thin is because I want to make it a little bit difficult, because I know you guys aren't that bad at obbies. Most Roblox players that I've ever met, they played obbies for their first time on Roblox. So they played obbies before they played anything else. So I'm pretty sure you guys and gals already know Roblox obbies and what to do. We're going to go ahead and rotate this piece right now too. Now that we've rotated that, this is going to lead to the end section, and that's going to lead to another lava point. And because we've already made our lava part, it's going to be insanely easy to make this lava script. So let's go ahead and do this. Actually, resize this over here. We're going to go ahead and move this over by 5. There we go. We're going to move this by 5 as well. There we go. So now that we've done this, we've basically made our piece. So this is basically done. We're going to go ahead and take this now and resize it over here and make our next path. Now our next path is going to be another lava obstacle. If you look over here, after we complete the lava jumps, it's going to be leaking lava. And I'm going to go ahead and speed this one up because it's not really that difficult. It just requires a lot of attention. So let me go ahead and speed that up. Now guys, another thing I want to note is if you go to increment, remember what I said last video, try to make your increment maybe 0.25 for now, then resize it all the way down. This makes it super short, and you can also make it even less than that, like doing 0.125, which is half of 0.25. Then you can resize it over there, make this about maybe 4 by 4, and if a player was going to touch this, they would get killed because all we have to do is select this part right here, open it, copy our script from there, and paste it right into there. Now we have a kill script in here too, which makes this killer. Let's go ahead and take this and resize it over even more, and I'll show you guys exactly what I mean. There's basically going to be a lot of lava puddles that if the player touches them, they could die. So we're going to go ahead and do this. basically make a lot of large lava puddles that the player has to avoid in order to live, guys. So let's go ahead and take this piece and resize this over here. Reason being, I want to make this be a really difficult obstacle that isn't too easy, that the player has to maneuver from a little bit. You know what I mean, guys? We're going to go ahead and move this over here. And as we do these little lava pieces, it's going to look a little bit more natural as we go on. Just bear with me, guys. This does take a while, so let's go ahead and speed it up. Okay, we have now finished our lava puddles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take our spawn point and move it over here. That way we can quickly test it and see what it's like to play around with our new lava puddles. Now remember, we have to make sure that they kill us on touch, which they do, which is pretty good. It functions well. So let's go ahead and try out this obstacle. Try to avoid the cylinders right here and live as long as we can. Ooh, okay, we're still alive. Oh my god, this is actually pretty difficult. Okay, we've made an obstacle right here. Boom. We completed that obstacle. Let's go ahead and get back to work. Our next thing is going to be the lava jumps too. Now for this one, it's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be like this where you jump through the lava. It's going to be actually more difficult. Reason being, I want to make it so it's like a little thing in some obbies that you guys might have played before, where if you go on top of this, you can go ahead and make like a little pool of lava that the player has to go through in order to survive. So we're going to go ahead and resize this down just a little bit, and we're going to make that about maybe 5 deep, and move this over, duplicate it, and move this over here, and resize it over. Maybe make it about, we'll make it about 35 length, and then take this and move this over here, and notice how we've already made our structure. This is good, because when we take this piece right here, we can copy this, move this over here, resize it down just a little bit, and make that pure red, and then do this. Notice how it does this. It looks pretty freaking cool, doesn't it, already? I think it looks cool already. So what we're going to do next is actually take the script from here, copy it, and put it into here. We're going to take it and put it into there. We also have a color correction right there too. Now we've done that. We're going to take a part, insert a new part into here, and then this part's going to be basically what the player jumps on top of. We're going to change our increment to be about 0.5, which is half of 1, which is what we've been using most of the time in this video. We're going to go ahead and do this. Reason being, if we do this, we can make it so the player has to jump on top of these in order to reach their end point. Now we're going to keep on duplicating these and form a lot of different paths that the player can take in order to reach their point. No matter what, we have to try to make it easiest for the player to follow one path and more difficult for the others. So if they ever choose the wrong path, it's a lot more difficult. That way the player really has to go with one way. If not, it's going to be whatever. It's going to be whatever happens, guys. But go ahead and do whatever you want. Just make sure it's a little bit random, not too simple, not too easy. Make the jumps a little bit far from each other, so it's not the easiest thing in the world. That way the players don't have to like easily just hop through everything. I want to make it so it's a little bit difficult, guys, and I recommend doing that yourselves too. Trying to make things a little bit more difficult for the players. That way nothing's just given to them easily. So let's go ahead and take that and then move this over here. And I believe we finished our path. Let's go ahead and make this go over here too. Now the next thing you want to do, guys, is you want to make an invisible wall. In order to do an invisible wall, you take this piece and this piece, then you copy it and you move it up here. Then we're going to move it up all the way up here. That way the player cannot climb up this wall. We're going to press the letter N. Then we're going to make transparency 1. That makes it completely invisible. If I want to make it 0.5, it'd make it half invisible. Now I'm going to make it 1 again and just keep it that way. That way the player does not be able to cheat the obby and just climb on top of there and run through. We're going to resize it even more just in case. That way the player does not cheat. Now the next thing you want to do is make a little path over here, and this will be the end point of our obby. That is pretty much the obby right there, guys. But in order to finish our obby, we can't call it a finished obby until we add some materials, delete the base plate, and make sure it looks cool. So let's go ahead and do that, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick time lapse. Remember, to change materials, you press N, select the object, go to material, and you click whatever you want, like ice, and look, it changes. And then Shift Z to undo, Shift Y to redo. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright everybody, we went ahead and we colored our obby. Let's go ahead and delete our base plate and let's try out our finished product. Now we have to make sure everything is anchored, which they are. Let's go ahead and press F5 and test out our obby. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and see if we can complete the obby. We can go through this, so let's go ahead and walk through this one. We have to test out these, see if we can walk through those, which we can, and look at that. Only this one is the one that we can walk on. Let's go through the middle one, and then we have to test out these as well. We can't go through those, and then we're gonna walk on top of this one. Now the next part is the cylinder jumps, like we said earlier. Let's go ahead and jump through these cylinders. Now I decided to go with a black and red color scheme because I felt like Star Wars and Darth Vader would like match us a little bit, and I was kind of singing the Star Wars theme in my head as I was doing this, so it was pretty fun too. So let's go ahead and continue with this obby, get this stuff done, and complete it easily. There we go. Oh yeah, your boys made an obby. I hope you guys do the same thing, everybody. Remember to tweet me at Roball01 on Twitter with your finished project obby. That way I can see exactly what you guys have worked on, so I can see what the Robros have done. Oh no, we died! But hey, the obby looking pretty cool. We finished it, everybody. So go ahead and comment down below what you did enjoy about this, any ideas you have for future videos. Let's go ahead and try to get this video to maybe 10 likes and I'll release another building tutorial, guys. Remember, there's a lot of scripting involved in this video, and in order for you guys to learn exactly what I did, I recommend rewatching this video at least twice or working with me as I'm doing it, because it makes it a lot easier, everybody. So hopefully you did enjoy the video. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you're new. Tomorrow's tutorial will be coming out sometime soon, so make sure you subscribe for tomorrow's building tutorial, guys. Peace, everybody.